right, ready to dig into something pretty crucial today, uh, architecting cloud systems, and specifically with cost efficiency in mind. We're talking building those awesome cloud setups,
Right.
but without the budget nightmares. You brought some really interesting material from the FinOps Foundation to help guide us.
Yeah, and they're doing really critical work, I think. The FinOps Foundation, they actually provide this framework. It's kind of like best practices, for managing cloud costs. They're really like a bridge between that tech world and the finance world. And they're helping organizations, really get the most value out of their cloud investments.
Yeah, I'm seeing that bridge building even in the material that you shared. It really emphasizes that even these small architectural decisions can have these big cost implications down the line. Like one example that really jumped out at me was how choosing the wrong database early on can snowball into this five-figure headache later on.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why, building that cost-aware culture from the get-go is so important. And it's not about saying like, no, we can't do that. It's not about saying no to every new technology. It's about having that informed decision making where everybody understands, what are the cost implications of this. It's about having these conversations early and often, bringing your FinOps practitioners, your engineers, your product teams, even finance, right? Make sure everyone's on the same page from the beginning.
Yeah, it sounds like a real team sport. And,
Yeah.
and speaking of teams, cloud architects seem to be right in the middle of this balancing act. They're juggling, virtual machines, containers, serverless. They're trying to choose the right tools,
Yeah.
for the job while keeping costs in check. And I'll admit, even for someone who, I try to follow the cloud space, it can feel like a lot to keep up with.
Oh, absolutely it is. Let's maybe break down those technical choices a little bit because understanding those cost implications for each one is really key. So imagine you're building an application and it needs to handle these sudden spikes in traffic. Let's say, I don't know, a ticket sales platform during a concert announcement. So you could use virtual machines, which are, they're kind of like renting entire servers, or you could go with containers. Those are more lightweight. They share resources. Kind of think of them like individual apartments in a building.
Right.
Or you could even opt for serverless, where you're only paying for the exact computing resources that you use during those traffic bursts. So each one has its place. It just depends on your needs and honestly can dramatically impact your overall costs.
So it's almost like choosing the right ingredients for a recipe.
Yeah.
You want that perfect blend of functionality, but also, affordability.
That's a great way to put it. And here's where it gets even more interesting is just like a good chef updates their menu. The FinOps material really emphasizes this. Architecting for cost efficiency it's not this one-time thing. It's about embracing what they call continuous modernization.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that term continuous modernization pop up more and more. What does that actually mean in practice?
So in practice, what it means is it's regularly reviewing and updating, your cloud architecture to take advantage of all these new technologies and services as they emerge. And technology evolves so rapidly. I mean, what was considered a cost-effective solution, maybe a year ago might be outdated today.
It's like you're always, looking for ways to make your cloud setup, leaner, more efficient as new tools and best practices come out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Think of it like, upgrading your kitchen appliances. So you might have a perfectly good oven from a few years ago, but, if a new model comes out that uses, less energy, cooks food more evenly, wouldn't you at least consider the upgrade? Right. It's the same principle for your cloud setup.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The FinOps material, I think, seems to acknowledge that this whole process can be, a little overwhelming. Maybe introduce this idea of crawl, walk, run. It's almost like stages of a cost optimization journey or something.
Yeah, it's a great way to think about it. So in the crawl phase, you're really just getting started, right? You're setting up that basic cost tracking. Maybe you're using some built-in tools, from your cloud provider, and you're starting to raise awareness within your team about, hey, we got to think about these cloud costs.
So small steps, but important ones.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, as you get more experience, you get more confidence, you move into this walk phase, right? And that's where you're You're implementing, maybe some more formal cost management processes. You're using maybe some more sophisticated tools to really analyze, where's the money going, and you're maybe even experimenting with things like automated cost optimization strategies.
So it's almost like, you're finding your rhythm and you're getting a little more strategic in how you approach all of this.
Exactly. And then finally you reach that run phase, right? And this is where you've got, a truly mature FinOps practice in place. You're continuously monitoring, you're optimizing those cloud costs. You've got this really strong culture of cost awareness. It's embedded across, your entire organization, and you're using those, kind of advanced analytics and automation to really stay ahead of the curve.
That sounds like, kind of the ideal state, but also a journey, with its own learning curve. Would you say that most organizations, they realistically fall somewhere, in between those
Oh,
stages?
absolutely. Yeah, it's not about reaching run, overnight. It's all about that continuous improvement. And even if you're just starting to crawl today, by taking those small steps, by building that foundation, you're really setting yourself up for success later on.
Yeah, it's good to know that you don't have to, do everything at once.
Yeah.
I think for someone listening, who's maybe in that crawl phase or just starting to think about cloud costs, really for the first time, it could be like, where do I even begin?
Oh yeah. I totally get that. But here's the thing. You don't need to, have all the answers right away. Even
Yeah.
just starting to ask the right questions is huge.
So what kind of questions should someone in that position be asking themselves or asking their team?
Well, I'd say start with the basics. What cloud services are you using? Do you actually understand, how their pricing works? Are there easy opportunities to maybe optimize how you're using them? And then, think a little bigger picture. How are these cloud costs actually being talked about, within your team? Is there like a shared understanding of why this is so important, this cost optimization? Could you maybe put in place like even a simple cost tracking system just to start seeing where the money's going?
Yeah, it's about building that cost conscious mindset, like you were talking about earlier, making it part of how you do things from day one.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you gain more knowledge, you gain more experience, then you can start, looking into these more I guess advanced um FinOps practices, but even those first few steps can make a really big difference.
This has been really eye opening. I think it's clear that architecting for cloud cost efficiency, it's not just a tech problem to solve, right? It's about building that culture. It's about awareness. It's about people working together, and it's about always trying to improve.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, and it's definitely worth it, right? The benefits, from just spending less money to being able to move faster, be more innovative. It's huge.
Absolutely. So for anyone listening who's ready to really dig in, the FinOps Foundation seems like a great place to get started.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. They've got that framework we were talking about, all sorts of resources, a whole community. It's really valuable for organizations at any stage in that journey.
Awesome. Well, we'll be sure to include links to all of that in the show notes.
Yeah.
And for everyone listening, remember, whether you're building something brand new in the cloud or you're trying to make what you've got work better, keep those cost efficiency ideas front and center. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
But it's something that can really pay off in the end.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Well, this has been a fantastic deep dive into the world of all things cloud cost optimization.
Mm.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring.